Hey, what's up YouTube? Lightsaber Samurai here. I'm back again for another video, and this time I wanted to start a hidden gem series for Microsoft's original offering. That's right, Microsoft's original monster, the underdog, the BBC. What? Man, look, I'm talking about the Xbox, man. The BBC, cause it's a big black console. Man, don't look at me like, you know what, man? Intro, man. Come on, man. Alright, now the original Xbox, when it came out in 2001, man, I think it got a little bit of an unfair shake, man. It was definitely the most powerful and robust console of its generation, but it had some stiff competition going up against the Dreamcast. Well, maybe not so much stiff comp in the Dreamcast, but it was definitely going up against the GameCube, which came out 2 days after it launched, and then the PlayStation 2, which was already running amok in Japan and North America. It didn't even really crack sales in Japan, with the units selling 20 million worldwide, or 22 million I think worldwide, and only 2 million of that in Japan. So that goes to show you right there. But in the US set, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 880 games. 881 I think is the official number. Correct me on that if I'm wrong, but with that being said, there was a lot of games that simply got overlooked. I know personally myself, being back then I was a huge PlayStation head and I was all in on the PlayStation 2, so I know I overlooked a bunch of games. Was a PlayStation head? What you talking about, man? I'm talking about to this day. To this day! Right, but anyway, my point is that because my attention was elsewhere, I didn't really get into the Xbox until a few years later. So with that being said, let's go ahead with the first game on the list. Okay, and the first game on the list is a cool little sci-fi hack and slash 3D, third person hack and slash shooter game by Koei, and this one here is Crimson Sea. I think I've talked about this before in a live stream. I've live streamed it a couple of times before. You play as Sho, who's an intergalactic private investigator, and he starts off, I think, I can't remember, it's been a while since I started this game, but I think he starts off the game looking to retrieve something, but then he gets recruited by this intergalactic agency. I think IAG is what it's called, and so you'll be taking missions all across the galaxy, from hostage rescue to extermination missions, and there's a whole plot and intrigue within that. But going into the game itself, first of all, I thought the graphics are really good. I think they hold up pretty well today, although it's a little bit dark, but the graphics definitely look good. Not as much color, but I really did like the locations. All of them were very diverse, even though some of them feel kind of empty and void. The combat system is pretty straightforward. You've got a either a laser pistol or a rifle, and that has a dual function as basically a lightsaber style weapon. So the pistol, for instance, its melee mode is a lightsaber, and then the assault rifle, which you're seeing here, it's kind of like an assault laser rifle, but it goes into kind of like this lightsaber pike type deal, and it's very cool. It's very fun to hack up swarms of bugs and other mercenaries into this. And if that wasn't enough, then they added magic. I think they call them psionics in that, but that gives you a bunch of abilities, from healing to creating area-wide status effects like slowing down time, or area-wide damage effects like small explosions and stuff like that. I thought it was a really entertaining game, and it's got some pretty heavy RPG elements in it. You can customize the weapons, you level up your powers. In between missions, you can go on the ship and you can purchase other items from other crew members. You can talk to crew members. I think there's even a few side missions you can take from them. But this had a sequel on the PlayStation 2. It was Crimson Sea 2, and I actually have that, so we'll take a look at that at some point. But this one, again, under the $10 mark, and definitely worth adding to your collection. So that is Crimson Sea. Okay, going on to the second game of the list, and I know I've talked about this one before. This is definitely one of the dopest first-person shooters of the generation. It's got a cool horror theme. It's got a cool metal aesthetic to the whole thing, and I'm talking about Darkwatch. This also came out on the PS2. I think it looks a little better and plays better on the Xbox, courtesy of the S controller with those nice triggers. And in this, you play as a gunslinger named Jericho, who is bitten by a vampire lord and becomes like this half-breed demonic vampire hunter. He eventually gets recruited into the secret society called the Darkwatch, and he's tasked with hunting down the vampire who bit him, as well as exterminating all of his forces. And in this, as I was saying, you play as a half-breed vampire, and so in addition to all the cool guns you get, and you get a variety of Western-themed guns, they've got pistols, they've got carbine repeaters, they've got long rifles, they've got shotguns, they've got dynamite. In addition to that, you've got some vampiric powers, like you have a cool double jump that lets you cover a lot of distance, and I really enjoy that when battles get very hairy. You can zip all around the arenas and all around the stages, and that will help you just kind of catch your breath when you're getting swarmed by enemies. Of course, you're fighting vampires and demons and other creatures of the night, and so most of them can do it too. So it's a fun time where you're kind of flying around, and then you pull out your shotgun and you shoot somebody, like, you know, point blank in the face. Like, super cool. Like, you also got an overshield, which is basically vampire health. And so that acts, like I said, as an overshield. It'll drain first, and then after it drains, then it starts to cut into your actual life. When your actual life is gone, you die. But as long as you don't take damage, your shield will recharge. The graphics on this game are really good too. I was impressed with these. These were dark, but it was part of the design, the graphical design of the game. They look fantastic and hold up well on your HD TVs, because I'm pretty sure this broadcast in 480p, and I mean, it just looks fantastic. This game is not one that people talk about a lot. I bought this game for $5 a couple of years ago, and I think it's still hovering around that price. And so if you can get it either on the Xbox or PS2, no excuse, man. You gotta grab this. Trust me, that's a guarantee on that one. Alright, so the next game on the list is a very interesting one, and this is done by Ubisoft. This came out in around, I want to say 2003. This is based on the Dragon's Lair series, and this is Dragon's Lair 3D, Return to the Lair. And you play as Drake in this. It's a third-person action adventure, so it doesn't play like the old school arcade one where it's kind of like the low res, like the beautiful animation, and you basically spent the whole time like avoiding traps and whatnot. This actually puts you down in the levels. Puzzle heavy in this game. You gotta kind of figure out the puzzle of each room to traverse through the castle, and also it has a lot of one-hit KO traps, so a lot of trial and error, but if you stick with it, you can definitely get through this game. It's a lot of fun. The aesthetic is really nice. This is one of the few Xbox games that broadcast in 1080i, and that was dang near unheard of. You know, when you're talking about 2003. It looks fantastic on the TV. You're seeing the graphics here. The animation is beautiful. It looks like a cartoon, and that goes for all the cutscenes too. The cutscenes look fantastic. It's still got nods to the original game, where as far as the enemy types and your little death screen and things like that. So I'm enjoying this game a lot. This, again, another cheap one. You know, we try to do it cheap here on the channel, so this one I got $10. I think it's still hovering around that price. Don't pay more than $20 for it as far as the time of this recording goes. You should be able to get this one easy, so go out and get this one, man. Fantastic game. Alright, coming up next, another game by Ubisoft and From Software, and this is Murakumo Renegade Mech Pursuit. This is a mech game by From Software, and if that sounds familiar, they were all in on mech games. They came out with games like what is it? The Armored Core series. There's a bunch of From Software games they come out, they have to do with mechs. This is one in a major line of them. What's the other one? Metal Wolf Chaos on the original Xbox and recently released on the PS4 from Software Games. They know their mechs, and this one is an interesting take on that genre. It's not so much you fly around in arenas and battle other mechs, and this is, I mean, it plays very much like Pursuit Force on the PSP, if anybody's ever played that. You fly around through the cityscapes, and your objective is to shoot down different Renegade robots and other targets, and you have to shoot them down before they flee and leave the area. It's a blistering fast, it's a fast game. It moves very quickly. It takes you a while to kind of get into that zone. It reminds me of games like Burnout in that sense. But once you get it, you'll be zipping in and out through the buildings and until you crash and get hit by something you never saw. But this is an interesting distraction. I wouldn't say it's the best mech game I've played, but it's not horrible if you're going for it's a simplistic experience. And so basically from the missions I play, they all pretty much are the same. You start off in the level, your objective, you shoot down the enemy before they escape. And that's pretty much how it goes. There is some customization involved. You can switch out mechs that has different weapon layouts and things like that. So you might have to switch your mechs depending on what the job is calling for. Not the best game, but it's not a bad game at all. The graphics on it are beautiful, fantastic game, and it's running fast. I'm pretty sure it's running at 60 frames a second. This is an awesome looking game, and the gameplay is decent if not simple, and this is also another very cheap game, so if you see it, definitely pick it up. Okay, and moving on to the last game on the list today, and this game was released early in the Xbox life. It was released by Genki. This is another mech game called Phantom Crash, Speed, Stealth, and Survival. And this game is a mech game similar to Armored Core in the sense that you are a new pilot introduced to the game. You get your first mech, you can kit it out, you can switch its arms and its legs and its head, body, switch what weapon loadouts it has. You go into arenas and fight other mechs, and it's the concept is been done before, but they tell it in this really cool cyberpunk anime type story where it's 2031, and this is kind of a post-apocalyptic world where cities like Tokyo have been evacuated and they're basically deserts now, but they're perfect battlegrounds for this sport called rumbling. And in this, you're a new wirehead, which is a pilot in this sport, and it starts off with you just trying to cut your teeth in the sport and try to move up the ranks, but as the game goes on, there's this backstory with all this intrigue and this mystery that unfolds. This is a really cool game. This one I've been enjoying a lot, and I've never heard about this game. I randomly bought it. It was in my backlog, and I decided to crack it open and check it out just to see what it was about. Man, was I glad I did that, and kind of sorry that I hadn't done it years before. The game, like I said, it plays closest to the Armored Core games that you would find on like the PS2 or like the Xbox 360, and the graphics look pretty good. It has that cyberpunk anime aesthetic, and it's got a cast of wonky anime characters, and this is just a fantastic game. I think I bought this for like $3, and it has a sequel, believe it or not, on the PlayStation 2. It's that weird game that SIAL or something like that. It's a game I see all the time and just pass it up, but next time I see that game, it's bought, because I didn't realize that it was the sequel to this game. I didn't even realize this game was a thing, but now that I do, I want to collect them both and play through them both, and you should too. Alright guys, so I do believe that's all I got for you, but let's talk about it down below. Questions, comments, concerns, threats. What do you guys think about the hidden gems that I showcased in this episode? What are some more hidden gems on the system that we can discuss next time, because there will be a next time. If you like this content, please go ahead and give me a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. You'll be glad you did. I do believe that's all I got for you. Lightsaber Samurai out. Peace.